Hi, I'm Roger Roulette, and I'm speaking to Natasha, and I guess she's on a learning journey to learn about a little bit about who we are as Anishinaabe people and what our what our values are, beliefs, and basic things like that. I think that it's important for our people, particularly the young people, to learn a little bit of their language. A lot of the language teaches us idiosyncrasies, little things that that is solely us. And I think even if you learn a few words, it empowers you to to have that pride and identity to further your learning journey, particularly if you're a young person and you're not really exposed to the the concepts of the culture and even and any knowledge of the history of our people, which is really fascinating. But I think that one of the things that young people should actually try to learn is learn the authentic um, um, cultural concepts for you to really understand it. It's because we're in an age of information, we tend to be diverted by so much information overload that we can't really be uh, um, too careful in what we accept as being a truism. For instance, there is a lot of information on things that are new age. I think you have to sort of weed through the background of anything that you learn, and I think the language gives you confirmation and verification of a concept. If it's easily translatable, then that concept will has an existence. For instance, humility. They say the Basendis when humility is a big concept in being under the radars kind of idea. You're not supposed to grandstand and be, I guess, um, to boast, to brag, or anything like that. It goes against the idea of humility, where people will be recognized by others rather than trying to prove to the world that they are something. That it's usually by deeds, by accomplishments, by what kind of a person you are you contributing to your family, your community, things like that. These things are all lend themselves to the idea of humility, and also that's where we get our self-esteem is by how appreciative others are about us. I think those ideas are lost in English. A lot of information you cannot retrieve from older people if they speak the language, because they're not a lot of times as fluent in English to explain the concepts. But they could do it in their language, but it's hard for people to understand, particularly terminology that is beyond intermediate. So I think if you learn the basics of the language, then those concepts you can sort of put together, and you'll see what the message is behind that. Um, the 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 idea of how people used to help one another in the old days for survival has been lost somewhere along the line from the transitional period of being people who like to move around. Uh, uh, they say nomadic, but whatever. And then they stay in one place, and then and uh, government assistance and all that seems to um, break up the families, the extended families, because they don't work together uh, like they used to survive. in order for people to survive in the older days, including when I was a child, is that you had to pitch in and um, and and help out, and this way you're healthier as a person and as a family, and even extended family, right to the community. There's an old, I guess, an adage, proverb, if you want to call it, where they used to call it a frog in a bucket. They used to call it, where the one if a frog tried to get out of the pail or the bucket, one of them would pull them back. So in our Anishinaabe language, there's a saying that says, "Gego ashen again, which means don't be envious of others. You think less of your own divine gift," which is supposed to teach young people and everybody, if they've forgotten that idea, is that if you want somebody to succeed, and it is their destiny, whatever you want to call it, allow them to succeed and support them, rather than trying to hold them back because you're having difficulty in your life or something is preventing you from succeeding. And I don't think you should interfere in a person's success. I think you should try to support them. Which brings me to the idea that if our leaders don't provide inspiration to the young people, then they'll have to look for it in our older people. That's the only way, that's the alternative, because our leaders are not forthcoming in I guess articulating the importance of our language, because you never hear the leaders speak in their language in public, which to me is not a good message to give to the younger people. So I'm hoping that in the future, our younger people who are up and coming leaders, they will strive to have some, I guess, language foundation, so that they can encourage others that if you want to have a sense of your identity, your pride, that you'll start with uttering a few of the words and even learning some of the basic concepts of the language. Anyway.